Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day, or at least a not terrible one. This video was requested by a subscriber, and I had already planned on doing a video similar to this. I just didn't really know how to go about it because I have a huge archive of notebooks because I've been using the Traveler system for 10 years. So essentially, this is just the most recent items from the backlog that I'm going to be showing you today. And there is going to be a lot of things redacted out of this video. As far as the what I'm writing in the notebooks, you can still see how I lay out the pages and decorate them. I'm just kind of censoring a lot of the writing because these notebooks were made during a somewhat turbulent period in my life where my sister and I were moving out of a somewhat unhealthy and unsafe situation that we lived in. And we were getting our own place. And so there was a lot of emotional turmoil. And then around that same time is when I actually started dating my now husband. So this section of my notebook archive has a lot of personal details in it that I've just kind of censored out. But I still want you to be able to see what all is in there and explain a bit about my process. The subscriber that requested this video, her name is Natalie. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing the name correctly because she has a HG3GH. Um, but she's the one who requested this notebook flip through. And I thought it was great because there was also a bunch of questions that they had asked. And I wanted to go ahead and answer some of those questions along with sharing my notebook process. Before I get into everything, I did also want to say thank you to everybody who has subscribed. I never really thought when I started this channel that I'd really get very many subscribers because it is kind of a niche kind of topic. And I just don't consider a lot of the things in my notebooks very interesting. But I would like to say thank you to everybody for 200 subscribers. I'm very, very grateful and very excited to continue to share more content about my notebooks and just other creative hobbies and things that I like to do. Feel free to pause the video at any point because I am going through the pages very quickly. And that was mainly because I have so many notebooks in my archive. And this is only, I think, from the time period of like December 2023 until summer of 2024. So I think this is only a few months worth of notebook content that I'm showing you here. I wanted to do a flip through of my other notebook, the Sterling ink notebook that I had showed in a previous video, but that notebook is so thick and it took me hours as it is to edit just this 16-minute video. So I don't know if I would be able to um, do a flip through of that one because there's just so much that would need to be censored and photographs and all this stuff in there. So I maybe one day I'll feel comfortable enough to share, without having to censor everything. I just tend to be kind of a private person and I don't like to share certain parts of my life. So I may do a flip through of that one day if I feel comfortable enough. Maybe if enough time has passed from those events to separate me from them just a bit. But I wanted to answer the questions that I had received from Natalie. So the first one was, how often do I journal? And that one just really depends. Um, I just tend to journal whenever I feel like I need to kind of get out all of this noise inside my head, which is fairly frequently. I tend to try to journal um, every other day or more often. It just really depends on what I need in that span of time. So Sometimes I'll journal every day. There have been many periods throughout my life where it was like a staple. I had to journal every day because I could not function without writing down what was going on with me and trying to get that out. Um, but it just really depends on how often I need it. I typically, when I do journal, try to take my time with it because I don't want to feel rushed. I want to take my time with the process of using stickers and ephemera and whatever else I'm putting into my notebook. So, journaling for me can take anywhere from a few minutes to an hour or two. Just depends how I'm feeling that day and how much time I have. And the next question she'd asked was what I journal about and how I decide that. And I just tend to journal about everything. Sometimes it's just daily goings on in my life, which is fairly boring, but I like to have that information because I have a lot of working memory problems because of my ADHD. And if I don't write things down or have photos or ephemera from events, I will forget about them. And I like to have my notebook archived so that I can at least hold on to those memories. Um, and a lot of times I'll sit down journal because something is bothering me or I'm distressed or, um, when I was living in um, less ideal situations, I would journal a lot about, the trauma that I was experiencing at the time. When I was a kid, because I've been journaling since I was like 11 or 12. I would journal in a weird way where I would omit anything that was not ideal from my notebooks because I was afraid that they would be found and read, and I didn't want to be, confronted by somebody being upset that I had written about what I was experiencing basically at home. Um, So I used to omit a lot of things from my notebooks when I was younger, but as I got older, I began to use them for their intended purpose, which is to actually um, kind of vent about my frustrations and my feelings and whatever's going on with me. So they've kind of always been like a second brain and a best friend, because there were a lot of periods in my life where I had certain things going on I couldn't tell anyone about, and they would just go in the notebook. Um, I have certain notebooks that, because this leads into the next question. She asked, "How do I feel about why I do it?" I think that journaling is very healthy for anyone. I think anybody should keep a record of, their thoughts or their life. It's very healthy, and I also think that it helps you self-reflect on your experiences or your behaviors. I have some notebooks that I had during a couple of hospital stays. So they were different. They were those wrap tie journals, and I had a couple of them that I had taken into the hospital with me when I was in there for a couple of weeks. And I don't tend to look back on journals like those a lot because they're very hard to read for me because they bring up a lot of negative feelings and remind me of um, really bad times in my life. So I have them, and maybe one day I'll be able to read back through them and I'll feel far enough away from those memories and bad times that I can read them without feeling sad. But for the time being, I just keep them locked away in my archive. And with these notebooks that I'm showing you in particular, there was a lot of turmoil going on during this time, but it was also one of the happiest times of my life because I finally felt like I had um, a safe place to live, as far as feeling like I could be myself. And I also felt really um, happy in the fact that my sister and I, we were um, doing our best to work and be able to keep our little home. We experienced a lot of really cool things during that time. One of the photos you saw a minute ago was a solar eclipse, and we were having a lot of fun with our friends, and it was just a really nice time in my life, and then, of course, that led into me dating my now husband, which that was also a great time. That's when I think about those months that we spent living together, that was probably one of the best times of my life, and I'm very grateful that I was able to experience, um, that sort of just feeling of freedom and feeling loved and just happy, you know? Um, and the next question that she had also sent, was what I take on the go versus at home, how that changes the process, and do I add notes like insert photo here, etc. I'm As you can see, I like stickers in my notebooks. I'm very much a sticker fan. I do have photos like Polaroids or like the little Kodak printer I use. I used to have a Polaroid camera, as you can see, but I found that it was very inconvenient because it was unreliable as far as being able to make sure that the photo was a quality photo or the lighting was good. And aside from having photos every now and then before I got the printer that I have now, I would just use stickers and everyday ephemera. I would use just mainly stickers from the Subscription Sticky Club. That is my next video. I actually got a new shipment from them of their latest sticker batch, and I wanted to share those because they're so beautiful and I'm so excited to use them. But most of the stickers you see in my notebook are from that company, and they're all made by independent artists. So each sticker sheet is like a different person who's made it. Um, but I am very much a fan of stickers because they don't take up much space. They're easy to use on the go. I like to stick in little to-do lists and washi tape. Um, and I just have a lot of weird ephemera, like I got a parking pass, like, or um, I had gone to McDonald's or something, and they give me like a receipt with my car. This piece of cardboard you just see right there is part of a cartridge for a Polaroid. So, the Polaroid film. So, just any random things that I would find, I would use them and stick them in there. When I'm on the go, I tend to use more stickers and more random bits of ephemera, like little torn pieces of receipt paper. But I tend to not focus on making my journals super pretty when I'm traveling because I want to make sure that I write down my experiences because that's more important to me than my notebook looking cute. Um, and I like to take a kind of like a little bag with pens and little washi samples when I'm away. Um, that's typically what I use when I'm out of town or when I'm on a trip. I tend to be more elaborate and use stamps and different kinds of photos and be more intentional with the layering of my ephemera when I'm at home. But that right there that you just saw is a piece of instructional pamphlet for one of the inhalers that I had been prescribed at the time because my doctor changed my asthma medication. So it just really anything I put it in my notebooks. I like to make them aesthetically pleasing to me, but also have bits and pieces of what is going on in my life at the time. This little watercolor is a watercolor I did of the landscape in the novel I'm writing because at the time when I was writing in this notebook that you're seeing right now, I was like neck deep in the lore of creating the world building and everything for the novel that I'm working on, which I'm still working on the novel, but that summer was especially productive in my creative realm because I was just nonstop writing and just creating different pieces of art and just all kinds of things that were inspiring to me to have in my notebooks and would remind me to continue to be creative and keep working on my novel. But yeah, that's just my personal method of journaling. I know there are a lot of people who don't use really stickers as much as I do. This is another little illustration from something that's in my novel. Um, I see a lot of people who they have notebooks that are very like very curated. where they have the stickers perfectly placed and they'll have like a really nice sketch here or there. I don't have as much sketching or paintings in my notebooks as much as I have just random bits of junk that I find here and there and stickers. But that's what works for me. And I encourage anybody who wants to journal to do what works for them. You don't have to stick anything in your notebook at all if you don't want to. These ones that I have right here are just my old calendar and an old tasks notebook. This one was also an insert that I wrote in, but I don't really want to share it because there's so many photos in it. So perhaps another time, because that's going to take me a long time to censor all of the photos. But I know this video was kind of short compared to my usual videos, but I just wanted to share a quick flip through. And if you have any questions, leave them down below. I hope this video gives a bit more insight into my journaling process, and I hope that you all find your own method and style of journaling. Thank you all for watching, and have a great rest of your week, or at least not terrible week. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.